Why, hello everyone. I am actually here. I am alive. um, Good evening to my fellow night owls. I'm not sure if anyone is actually watching at this point. I know Kevin dropped in to say that there was child vomit on aisle 5 and requesting immediate assistance. So somebody should probably take care of that. But yeah, I'm mostly here just kind of testing things out right now. So, where I left things off from the previous stream was that I had everything kind of set up and working in my living room. But I decided that obviously I want to figure out, since I want to try to start streaming more regularly, I need to find somewhere where I can have a more permanent setup, even though this is still kind of temporary. Since the whole point is to try to bootstrap my way up to using my full up video live streaming rig that I want to build. It is not yet built. It's half built, but I'm tearing it back. That's another story for another day. Anyway, so I've moved everything into my bedroom because this is a better place to set up something that I'll have all this crap just laying out all the time. And if I want to have people over, I don't have to worry about having everything in my living room. So that is one thing worth noting. So then after I moved everything in here, I started trying to think about what is a smart way to have everything hooked up and set up. And so I've kind of been iterating on this for a couple days, just as time allows. Tweaking the setup here and there, and I think I've got a layout that I like decently at this point. And so I can show that really quickly what I have right now. So I have an overhead. Oh, hello, Craig. Where are you? I don't know where he went. He was under me, and now he's not. So I do have the overhead camera, like I had in the living room, and that is still the GoPro. And then in front of me, I have a Sony Handycam that I got for very, very cheap. It was basically the only thing I could get overnighted for just a couple $100 on Amazon. It is not necessarily a great camera, but it will get the job done for what we need to do here, because I also know that I'm only pushing to 720p, so it doesn't need to be pristine video quality. So that's the what you're looking at in front of me, and then what's above me. And then I also have, see, what would have been smart is if I also had a picture-in-picture view for, for this camera view. Can I do this? What is this gonna do? It doesn't like this because I'm already using the key. Okay, never mind. I'll figure it out. I see. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So the top view is looking down on my table. So I have my laptop here now. And then I have I decided to, instead of using my lapel and having to just constantly be changing the batteries in it, because I don't want to buy those overpriced rechargeable batteries from Sennheiser. And I guess I could buy non-Sennheiser rechargeable batteries, but it's also just as easy to get. I mean, in this house, I have something like 20 different microphones. And this one is the best one that I have, and I figured I might as well get it out and play with it, because I don't get to too often, I guess. I don't like to take it out in the world like some of the other things that I do for my band that I do engineering for as my side gig. But this is an AKG C414. It's one of the new models that's got the gold plate on the front. It's a pretty penny, and the sound is immaculate. It picks up everything. It's super sensitive. Right now I'm using it. It has variable pickup patterns. I actually liked the figure 8 pattern the best when I was experimenting with this earlier, but that requires me to keep myself decently close to the microphone, and I was struggling with trying to figure out how to do that without cranking up the gain to try to pick it up if I had it a little further from my face, and still try to maintain sight lines to the cameras and not have weird shadows and stuff. I struggled a lot with that, but here we are. So still no comments. I still don't think anybody's watching, but that's fine because it's 11:30 on a work night. And I'm taking off this week from my day job, so I can stay up late with the asterisk of I do actually have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so I can't stay up too late. I just don't have to worry about sleeping and going to sleep and having to get up for work tomorrow. So I do have a little bit of flexibility there. Anyway, I just realized again that you're only looking at the overhead view, and I've been like intently staring at the camera in front of me. I should really figure out how to do the picture-in-picture thing. So I'll say that I figured out let me just do this while I'm rambling here. I figured out how to do picture-in-picture with this setup. That's not the question. It's that I don't have a scene for that already generated in OBS. And while I'm in the heat of the moment right now, I don't want to go make a scene in OBS to do this. I do have a hardware switcher that does support doing picture-in-picture, but it only has one upstream key, which I am using currently to be able to do my graphics. So like I can do stuff like this, but because I'm doing this right now, like this is also going through OBS. It's complicated. The graphics are also going through OBS, and then OBS is being pushed to the upstream key on the hardware switcher. So I'm bound to only doing things that are going through OBS in order to generate overlays, because otherwise I would have to give up having the graphics, which I don't need the graphics right now, but I don't want to do something hacky for tonight. Anyway, so this is all learning experience. So I'll figure out the picture-in-picture later. But anyway, so we'll go back to my overhead view. All right, so we got the laptop. I also did give in, and after much hand-wringing and doing test stuff, just playing around yesterday and earlier today, it was a lot of wrangling, and I have something like 40 tabs open in Chrome right now. So just trying to manually keep track of all of these things was very, very difficult. And so I chose to get a Stream Deck. So I have a Stream Deck Mark II. It's the 15 one, the 3x5 button patterns. So mostly what I've been doing kind of this afternoon was setting up different pages with automation and trying to figure out how's the best way to automate or not automate, but at least like make it easier for me to have things like being able to touch things at a glance, and turn things on and off. So like I can just tap this button here to do that lower third. The social ones though, I still am manually triggering those because you have to see like the scrolling chat, and then I can click on the chat message like this, so I don't have that on the Stream Deck though. I did have it on there, but I was like, well, what's the point? Because I got to click over here anyway. Okay, so we got the Stream Deck. We have the ATEM SDI Pro ISO. We talked about that on the previous stream. I got it all set up and working finally. It's beautiful. I've got the recording. I don't know if you can really see, but I have the red light on here right now. So I am also currently recording this stream to the hard drive. My previous streams, I was not recording them locally, and so I did go back and download the streams from Twitch before they get deleted. So I have archives of those saved off now, but now I don't have to worry about going and grabbing it from any of the streaming sites. And also, I can, if I need to go and make any edits or something, I can do that later, and it'll be easier with this process. So Um, yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, then hello. we might, I might crop in the picture-in-picture on the overhead view, and you will never be the wiser that it wasn't there before, except for the fact that I talked for like 10 minutes about it not being there. So anyway, so we got this, we got the Stream Deck. The audio, what I was doing was sharing desktop audio through OBS into the, I have the Ultra Studio 4K Mini here. And so I had desktop audio going through OBS and then coming in through the same channel as the graphics were, and then just using that as the primary audio source. Instead, I opted to, because I was trying to figure out, how do I do the microphone now? How do I have a microphone plugged into this? So this was easier when I had the lapel. So this is one advantage of sticking with the lapel. It would have been to have the lapel, because the lapel receiver pack has an output that is just the 1/8 inch like headphone jack input, which is all the audio input that the SDI Pro has for its dedicated mic inputs. So if you don't have audio coming in over SDI, your only way to get the audio in is through the 1/8 inch adapters. It works fine for those. But because I wanted to use this guy who needs phantom power and an XLR port, and then I also was just thinking about the logistics of having multiple audio sources, and maybe I want to have people call in at some point just for fun. I wanted to have a way that I could get that audio in, and so essentially I decided on having a dedicated audio mixer over here. This is the LiveTrack L8, which is a really awesome piece of hardware that I have, that I bought it originally intending to use it as like a recorder for on location audio recording before I ended up buying the Zoom H6. But that's more for like run and gun sort of thing. Like if I was going to go to a venue to like say record a band, a choir or something like that, I'm probably going to bring this instead, since that's something that's a little more, I'll have a stage and things like that. It'll work a little bit better. So anyway, I have this, and so I have the audio from the computer coming out through the PV, USB-P device that I bought years ago now at this point, but they still sell them. It's like, it was $50 at the time. It might still be $50 now. It's a very, very simple device. USB port on the front, XLR ports on the back. And then it's a sound card. It's just a USB sound card that you can use to get the audio out from your computer to XLR outputs. They are line level outputs though. They are not mic level, so they come into this thing very, very hot. So I have the gain turned all the way down, and I have them plugged into the high Z ones, and I originally had the high Z toggle turned on here, and that did bring the levels down to more reasonable levels. And I can't remember why I decided to turn that off. And so just using the gain turned all the way down, and then, attenuating by turning down the volume in Windows a little bit, just so it's not at 100% here. And then have the microphone here, and then I have my phone plugged in over here. If I have additional sources, I could plug them in on the remaining 3 channels. The other advantage of this is now I can do sound effects on the mixer. So that's pretty cool. Hey, Craig. Hi, buddy. Oh, I didn't mean to air horn again. He can't hear this because I can only hear, I only have the sound coming through the IEMs right now. That I'm going to get, I do have a rechargeable wireless IEM setup, and I'm going to set that up over here But for tonight, I didn't do that, so I'm just plugged straight into the mixer, and I'm tethered here. But I'll have a little bit more freedom there on the IEMs. He always likes to sit on this the Teradek. So if we get back to the way that this is all laid out, so I got keyboard mouse, right? Then over here underneath Craig is the Teradek Video Go. And then I have over here just off to the side, this is a GL iNet mini router. This is not the one with the Wi-Fi. It technically has Wi-Fi. It only has 2.4 gigahertz, and the Wi-Fi is only like 300 megabits or something like that. It's really pathetic. But I don't really use it for the Wi-Fi. I don't need it for that. What I'm using it for really is to have the multiple WAN support. And so it does have an Ethernet coming in from my router. Well, from my modem, my cable modem in the server room. I have a very long Cat8 Ethernet cable that I'm just running all the way into my bedroom, and then just at night I curl it up and toss it away where it's a little out of the way. So that's coming into the back of that, and then it's also attached to a USB hotspot that it can support with tethering. And then I am using the Wi-Fi on that as just a secondary source where it's connected to the Wi-Fi in my house. So that's also an option. I could, if I needed another tethering source, I could have it use the Wi-Fi relay from, like, say, tethering to my phone or something like that. That would be an option. So I just wanted to be able to have options for doing the tethering for general purpose internet, but also for the video stream going out. I wanted to make sure that I had good coverage because, as I'd mentioned the other day, my internet has been going in. My internet has been going in and out at my house. Is much better today. So I'm thinking that it must have been something that was down somewhere and they have repaired it or something like that, or maybe it was weather related. Maybe the heat, like the box that, you know, the matrix or whatever that everything's hooked into. I don't know how cable modems work, or cable internet works. Hey, no biting. You're going to get sprayed. Anyway, I don't know how it works. My internet's been a little bit better behaved, but I do also still have the dedicated modems attached to the Teradek. Now, this has been an adventure. So after all my streams from a couple days ago, I did 3 streams in total. Technically, there was one from the first day where I was introducing the concept. And then I did 2 the next day where it was in 2 parts because I'm an idiot and I decided to try to hot swap the video source between HDMI and SDI, and it didn't work. It killed the stream, so I had to bring it all back up and did a part 2. And then there was actually a part 3 as well that I only streamed to Twitch because I had to reboot my computer because the ATEM software control was being a real jerk for reasons unclear. I've never had that much trouble installing that before, but I did. So anyway, so this is the new setup, the new layout of everything. And I like it so far. It works pretty well for my experimenting. Oh, the other thing that, let me see if I can get this pulled up really quick. Yes. Okay. So my phone is connected to the Wi-Fi that is coming, the wimpy Wi-Fi that this is connected to. And I also have an NDI based camera app on my phone, OBS camera. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this to work. So you can see what it looks like from my view. Oh, hold on. Let me clean my lens before I even attempt to bring this up. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll pull this up. So the NDI view is coming from the phone over the Wi-Fi, which is pretty impressive, to the little tiny router thing over here, and then it's pumping out NDI signal that is then going into the OBS NDI plugin in OBS, and now OBS is pushing it out through the Ultra Studio. It's the Wi-Fi isn't a great connection, like I said. When I do this with my home Wi-Fi, it actually works surprisingly well, and it's not this glitchy. It's just because the Wi-Fi on this router is wimpy, and can't keep up with the NDI stream. It's very data intense. Anyway, but so OBS is pushing it out through here, and then it's coming in through the graphics. So the as far as the switcher is concerned, this is just a very this is just an opaque full screen graphic, but it's live video coming from this. So underneath is actually still the picture of either me or it's technically the picture of me. But in the background, I wanted to highlight that my multi-view is actually coming from a little tiny projector. So somebody bought this for me for my birthday as a gift. And I had been trying to figure out what I was going to do with it, because I have like a pretty nice projector in my house, and so I don't really need it in my house to like project movies. And I think the idea is that it's a portable thing that you can take with you to go watch movies outside or something like that, which I could also do. But I mean, I was trying to figure out how I was going to, if once I moved into my room, instead of using the living room where I have both a TV and a projector, how was I going to see the multi-view? I could put it on this monitor, but I really liked having two monitors. So if later on I want to do screen sharing, I can share one of the screens for whatever activity I'm doing, and have the second one to monitor the chat, monitor the stream progress and everything. So I pulled that little projector out, and it is doing a great job of showing me the multi-view from the ATEM. So that's pretty awesome. And then I do like, actually, now that you can see a little bit better on here, it has buttons over here for, let me move the mic so you can still hear me. It has video out buttons here, which route the video. They're little shortcuts to route the video coming out from output 1. And so output 1 is the output that is going through the bidirectional SDI HDMI converter to the projector. But I can choose inputs 1, 2, 3, 4, multi-view, and program. And so I actually earlier was like trying to adjust the sight line of one of the cameras or something like that. And I was just trying to adjust it simply looking at this multi-view and being like, I can't really tell what's on it. Oh yeah. Then I remember that I can push this button and I can see a full screen view of the front camera or the overhead camera, or that's the graphics, and then that's the alpha channel coming from the Ultra Studio. But anyway, let me go back to the multi-view. So so that's the setup that I'm running right now. So let's go back to me. So this is how I got it all set up. It's a mess. It's a real mess. And one of the things that I wanted to do is, hold on, I can't get anything working right now. I mentioned previously that I wanted to play around with H2R graphics. H2R gear. I've been using H2R graphics to do the graphics up to this point. So I now have it set up so that, now you can see that I have the picture-in-picture that's going through OBS, because I'm sharing over OBS now. This is my laptop screen, and so this is showing you this one. This is showing H2R gear, where I tried to make a diagram of the way this is all set up in my bedroom. And you can see that this diagram is an utter disaster. And so this tool is actually really, really awesome, and I love the capability that it has. The auto lines that are drawn on here for the cable connections leaves much to be desired, though. But you can pin the wires, and then like add a pin, and then you can move that pin. So there is some level of adjustment that you can do manually. So I was originally planning to this afternoon, just as like kind of a Zen garden sort of thing, maybe live stream me going through and cleaning up this diagram to make it more human readable. And then I started having a lot of issues with getting I got sidetracked. Sorry. I had a lot of issues with getting the modems from the Teradek working. So yeah, so I mentioned earlier I had 2 different phone calls with people from Teradek today. The first one was I was talking to somebody because I did all the streams the other day, and I had it. I used their service called Core, which supports bonding, signal bonding. And so what that does is it. Oh, hold on. What happened here? There we go. So that. Oh, I should have just gone program there. That's what I meant to do. Anyway, so the bond signal bonding, it allows you to break up the video stream into separate packets that go out through different sources. So you can use the hardline Ethernet, you can use a Wi-Fi connection, you can tether your phone, you can also then use the cellular modems attached to the side of this to get the video out. And so and then the Core service takes all of those packets and reassembles them into a complete video stream. And so I talked about this the other day, and the way that so the Core service is really awesome, and that worked beautifully as far as I can tell, as long as I was maintaining signal, which was intermittent because the internet at my house was dropping in and out. So then it was leaning more heavily on the cell signals, which are also not the strongest at my house. So I'm just sort of like effed no matter which way you come at it. But there was some trickle signal coming out. I looked at the bill for the cellular modems, and it was not cheap. So I do prepay for those. The way that I have the service now, you can prepay, like I put $50 on it or something like that. So it wasn't a lot, but I mean, for the streaming that I did, and because I had set it up in the service to try to tell it to not use those modems if it didn't need them, and it was still pushing data out through them, but it wasn't a lot. But even then, the data that it did push out was enough that it had more or less exhausted that pool of data. And so that got me concerned about the cost of doing that, at least through their service, through the cell service that I have for those modems. So I had an account so when I bought this kit, it came with SIM cards through Telna, which is a company that does SIM cards for like Internet of Things devices and things like that. So it's not, I mean, I think you can also technically use them in a cell phone or something like that. But their service is more geared towards using cellular having SIM cards for dedicated devices with dedicated cellular connections. So that's the SIM cards that I had been using. So I talked to somebody on the phone from Teradek because I had gotten an email the other day saying, we're actually trying to start our own service independent of Telna. Instead of like selling these things with a Telna kit, we're going to sell our own SIM cards that we have negotiated our own contracts with all the cellular, signal people, and so I was very interested in that. So I talked for a really long time with this guy who was super nice from Teradek, about their service, and it sounds really great. It is also expensive, but there are definitely advantages to the way that they are setting this all up. If you are interested in that, if you are somebody who happens to be watching this later and are interested in learning more about it, I would be happy to talk to you about it offline, or direct you to my contact with the Teradek sales department. So anyway, so I talked to this guy for a while about the modems, and was kind of telling him the same thing, like, yeah, it was super expensive and I wasn't even really getting that much data throughput and everything, and so whatever. I was so that happened, but then so then I hung up from him, and on a whim, I was like, oh, well, I happen to also have this SIM card from T-Mobile just lying around that I'm not using currently. It's a long story why I have it. So I decided to try. I put money on it because it's another prepaid one, kind of like these are too. Like, so I just put some money on that card, and then put it into the modem to see what it would do. And I did it in one of them, right? Because there's two different separate modems, so they each have SIM cards. So I took SIM card out of one of them and put in the T-Mobile one, and it did not work. And it, like, more than didn't work. It was like I plugged the modem back into the side of the Teradek, and it like wasn't even registering. And I was like, oh God, what have I done now? Because this thing is expensive. So I messed around with it for a long time. I eventually got it to the point where the device was detecting the modem, but it was not connecting to the network, and it wasn't even like reading the IMEI off of the chip from the modem. And so I messed around with it for a while, and then I went to like T-Mobile's site and saw that they had like a thing where you can check the IMEI to see if your phone is compatible with their network, so that like if I already had a phone from, say, AT&T or Verizon, probably more likely AT&T since they're both GSM. If I had that phone, I can see, is that phone actually compatible with their network? And so I put in the IMEI number from this modem that had the T-Mobile card in it, and it said, oh, it's not compatible. I was like, well, that's weird, because I thought that I had previously read that these things work with T-Mobile. But anyway, so I gave up after a little while and decided, all right, well, I've messed around with this enough. I'm going to just put the original card back in and put it all back together. And then it didn't work again. And this time, like on the first try, it detected the device. So it wasn't like a bad connection with it, because it's just a USB adapter actually on the inside. So it's not like but I was like, it's not a bad USB connection. It was clear that the video was seeing the modem, but it wasn't detecting the SIM card for some reason. I was like, oh no, did I break the SIM card reader when I swapped out these cards or something like that? And so that's where I eventually called tech support and was like, please help me, what is going on? And I sat on hold for a little while, with waiting to get in, and then I finally a recording came on. It was like, if you'd like to be registered to call for a callback, we can call you back later. And so I registered for the callback thing after waiting for a while, and then it was like, great, it's now safe to hang up and we'll call you back soon. And I hung up, and I just barely walked out of the room and my phone rang immediately, and I was like, oh, of course, it was my luck that after waiting for a while, that it was finally my turn in line. all of this to say, I got on the phone with the guy. He told me that when you change the SIM cards in these things, you have to give it the APN, that's like the server name that the card needs to register against. And so when I swapped in the T-Mobile card, I did actually change the APN for that. But then when I put the new card back in, I didn't put anything in because I didn't know what it was supposed to be, and I thought it just automatically would recognize, oh, I've seen this SIM card before, I'm going to use the previous settings. It did not, and so we had to just go through and like reset up the cell connection and gave it the APN and everything, and then rebooted the device a couple times, and hey, then it all worked. So but given the cost of the modems and for what we're doing here, this is not a mission critical stream. Whereas if I'm doing a gig and, you know, actually live streaming a concert or a conference or something like that, and I need to make sure that this is a rock solid signal, you better bet I'm going to use those modems. But for this little, you know, screwing around on Twitch thing, I don't need to spend that money. So I've disabled those, and instead I'm relying on my home Ethernet, my Wi-Fi, and then I have, as the backup, I do have this other hotspot that's plugged into the GLINet router, but it's not doing the bonding with that. It's only using that as a backup signal if I lose internet. And this is on my personal cell phone account where I have not unlimited data, but I have a very large data plan that I end up most of the time not really using. And I've thought about downgrading it to save money a few different times, but right now I'm glad I didn't because I did experiment with using it as part of the bonding thing, and it actually worked really, really well. And I technically could have done a full HD signal with that because I was actually getting a 5G connection with this hotspot because it's a 5G hotspot. So that was awesome. I don't usually get 5G signals in my house, but I guess here in my bedroom I can. I hadn't tried it before now. This would have been good to know, you know, during the Great Freeze when I had no internet and all the regular cell signals were all effed up. I'm sure the 5G would have been a little bit better. Anyway, this is all a long rambling story to say that I don't really have that much to talk about tonight because I'm tired, and I do have to be up at a reasonable hour somewhat tomorrow. Yeah, so this is the new setup, and I was hoping that I could do this at a more reasonable hour to get feedback from somebody on like, how does my mic sound, how does this look, how's it all working. But we'll do this again soon. Oh, hey, it's gone. Bloop. Hello. Can you hear me? What are you doing up late? Yeah, I really wasn't expecting anybody. And of course, like right here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to probably just go because nobody's watching this. And then it turns out somebody's watching. Hello. Oh, you've been lurking. Okay, so you heard some of my story. Okay, hold on. I'm very frustrated by this. Here, let me show you. Okay, so this is in my graphics, where if somebody sends something with an apostrophe, it does this garbage where the apostrophe turns into oh yeah, all the modem drama, you heard all that. But yeah, so the apostrophe turns it's like it's getting turned into the like raw HTML. And I don't even know why like Twitch is doing this, but I guess instead of, you know, just doing like an ASCII apostrophe in the, you know, they're replacing the punctuation marks in the comments in the chat on Twitch with the HTML character codes or something, which H2R Graphics does not handle. and that's what I'm using to show all of this. And so I actually reached out to, I'm using a plugin. It's actually a Chrome extension called Social Stream Ninja. Oh, it's because Twitch changed the API. Well, Facebook is doing the same thing too, though. So I see the same thing from Facebook. So I reached out to the developer of Social Stream Ninja and told him about this issue with the weird characters showing up in this message. And he actually pushed out a patch earlier this week for me that fixed this problem, and it all worked beautifully. Because I did do another test stream that I just didn't, advertise, and I went back and deleted it later, where I tested out the comments on Facebook and on Twitch, and it was working beautifully. People still use the upper comma, quote unquote, as you can see in very explicit, disgusting HTML characters. So he pushed out a patch, and then right before I started the stream, I decided to upgrade the version of this extension, and it seems to be now broken again in this extension. So I'm gonna have to reach back out and be like, did you do something that reverted the change that you just made? Yeah, it's all special characters. It's literally anything that's not alpha, like alphanumeric, is getting replaced. And I don't know where in the process that all is happening. It may not even be Twitch's fault. It may actually be something that's happening in this Social Stream plugin. But I don't know, and I haven't had enough time to look into it. And that's where I was like, well, I mean, this guy's on GitHub, so I put an issue on GitHub, and then we messaged back and forth for a little bit. So I don't know, but yeah, he was probably almost done with the update and then patched for you as possible. So anyway, so the comments are working. I also, this is also my first stream on YouTube. I do have YouTube working now as well. The other thing that I had mentioned the other day was that I'm using the core service from Teradek, and it has the ability to push out the video stream to multiple destinations. And I was saying, oh, well, you can do this instead of needing to use something like Restream. So what I didn't realize was that the plan that I have on Core charges extra for the additional destinations. And so a 12K. What is 12K? I don't know. So they charge extra for multiple destinations. And so I ended up just getting Restream. So I'm doing this through Restream. So I can do very cheaply through Core. It does the bonding thing. It takes the signal from the Teradek from all the different internet sources, reassembles it into a single video stream, and then now it's just pushing that to Restream. And then I'm using, I can send it out in 12K resolution. Yes. And so I'm pushing to Restream, and then using Restream because that is actually a more cost-effective way to do the multiple destination compared to Core. If I were doing that wouldn't always be the case, and there might be reasons that I would want to use Core for the destination, or for the all the different destinations. Then I could do that. Oh, I have a demon now, apparently. It's gone. Why did you bring me a demon? Hello, friend. Yeah, so not going to use Core. the moral of the story is don't use Core for multiple destinations unless you have enterprise level budgets, and then it makes more sense to use Core. And yeah, so Core is great. Single destination is not terribly expensive. And then I just went ahead and got the annual pass because there's also like a sale right now from Restream, and so anyway, yeah. So I did Restream. That made the integration better with Facebook and YouTube as well. Yeah, right. Well, yeah, because to Scon's point, the whole point is that I am doing this with professional hardware because I'm trying to do streaming as a professional thing, and that's why I'm using professional services and hardware instead of just doing it the easy way with OBS like everybody else does. But that's the whole point of this stream, is that I'm trying to going through these learning pains. Hopefully that other people can learn from this if you decide to dip your toe in this pool as well of doing like professional live streaming. I'm going to figure it all out for you so you can learn from my mistakes. So, yeah. But right now I don't have a lot of paying customers. I have currently 0 paid customers for my streaming services. And so I am not going to use the enterprise level service for their internet, for the modems, for those of you who are here with the modem drama, which I think was just gone, or if you're watching this later. Yeah, so I'm not going to use their paid service for that, and I'm not going to use their paid service for the multiple destinations. But it is great for the multiple bonding, the signals, so I can get the data out in a reasonable way. That's also why I'm doing 720p, because it's less data. So since I'm paying for data, yeah. Scon says I'm all for freemium. Yeah, I generally am too. But so my thing is that I've always tried to figure out cheap ways to do things that look like they are not cheap. And so like as a kid, I always would like spend a lot of time and money at Radio Shack and then try to assemble these like rigs into things that I could actually produce content, or do things that people thought looked and sounded better than it was. And so that's kind of my whole shtick, is kind of balancing. Yes, sometimes you need the reverse Dolly Parton. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to in some cases you do need the big guns like the Teradek. Yes, to spend a little to look like you spent a lot. The Teradek is something that you want to spend the money on because I have in mind, for example, I have some clients that I want to try to market to for these services eventually, and the venues that they perform in, I happen to know have very, very poor internet service, and I mean, it is in the downtown Houston area, so cell signals are abundant, generally speaking. So I think that in that case, I'm really going to rely on cellular bonding if I want to get the signal out with any quality whatsoever. And so that is something that only the Teradek is going to get you there. Because yeah, as I talked about the other day, the web presenter and OBS and all of those other services, they only have one single output. It only outputs the data in one. Then they leave it up to you to figure out how to get that signal out to the internet. So that makes the inherent assumption that you have a stable internet connection. And in a studio environment, that's a good thing, and that's where like a web presenter would work. Or if it was like in a fixed venue, something like that would work. Or when you're at home, OBS makes sense. When you're in the middle of a church in downtown Houston, you can't you can't rely on their hardline internet. It's just not reliable. And so you have to, or if I wanted to like do sports or something where I might be outdoors or something, I might not even have access and I might only have cell signal. So for those types of things, yes, the Teradek is the way to go. For other things, you want, like for the you could, I know I've seen a lot of people that that have been kind of inspired the way that I've been approaching this, and a lot of them are actually just using these like ATEM minis to do their stuff. So that is a good, it's a great switcher for cheap, and it's portable and all that sort of stuff. Great. Oh. Yes, Craig is currently at my feet. You can't see it on either of the camera views, unfortunately. He's just staring up at me. Hi, Craig. You want to come up? You gonna come up? What if I pick you up? He does not like when I pick him up. Oh, hey! Boiler up. I'll pick him up. Hi, BB. Right before I got on here, he was being super cuddly. He like crawled up on my back, and then he was sitting here on the table and just like trying to nuzzle me and wanted all the attention because he hasn't gotten enough love today. Apparently. How dare I do anything other than worship you? But anyway. How is Craig doing? So he's doing very well. For those who don't know, Craig has had a very very bad case of ringworm that has gone on for almost 3 months now. Yes, he is a cat. But he is almost better. He's got one little spot left on his neck, which you can't even see now because it's not bald anymore. It's just kind of flaky. But we're just spot treating that, and it's even improved just since like 3 days ago. And so he's doing much better. So what I'm really hoping for is that in another week, so next week, I'm hoping that this will all be gone. Yes, and he is huge. He's huge compared to a month ago. My hope is that by next week, that last spot will be gone, and we can do another PCR test to make sure that this is finally gone. And then I am considering getting him a buddy, because he really struggles with, he has really bad separation anxiety. Like, I have security, my security cameras in my house. He always loves to sit on the switcher, and his foot is like right next to the fade to black button. So sorry if I disappear. He also loves to sit on the Teradek for some reason. I'm always worried he's gonna like stop the stream or something. Yeah, spent the last 5 years fighting Griffin's skin condition. Yeah. Oh, he sees the mouse. Oh, he loves to chase the mouse cursor. Anyway, he has really bad separation anxiety though. So I just got back from a work trip where I was gone for a week. It's the first time that I'd been away for any length of time. And I got him back, and he looked like a get a small box for the desk. I have a bunch of small boxes in the other room, and he's been hopping around in those. I should bring one in here maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Because the comment was get a small box for the desk. You bet it's because it's warm. Yes, both of them are both of those boxes tend to be very. Hey, no biting. You'll get sprayed. Hey, what did I just say? He's like, why are you, he's biting me because I'm invading his space, but he's the one invading my space. So, anyway, uh, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, I was gone. I got him back, and he looked like a stray cat. And you can still see. It probably doesn't show up on the this this 10-year-old GoPro that I'm using for the overhead, but his white fur has a brown kind of discoloration to it. Uh, because and he was like losing fur in chunks when I got him. It was so bad. Like it was worse actually than when he lost the hair from the ringworm. Um, and so he was rough. He was real rough. And I think it's just because he was lonely. Because he's also been, dealing with the ringworm. They had him in isolation at the boarding place at the vet too. So it was rough. He had it real rough. And but anyway, I was saying earlier, like the security cameras in my house, like when I leave for work, I get alerts if there's like sounds in the house or whatever, and they always go off in the morning when I leave because he'll just sit in the kitchen and like meow desperately for like 10 minutes before he finally gives up and goes and I don't know, cries himself to sleep or something. I don't know, but I come back and he's always very excited to see me. He's like a dog. You're a big dog. You're a big fuzzy dog. A big purring dog. So yeah, that's Craig. So this is Craig, everybody. He's licking his ass. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks of all of this. Yes, he's a poor kitty, but we're getting through it. Yes. Your fur looks a lot better too. From the front though, you still look pretty rough. Yeah, his like front and his paws are just like, they still look like he just like was like bathing in chocolate or something. Uh it's so discolored. And I think because I don't know, maybe because he's been leaving the other fur alone, it's, kind of faded and kind of grown out a little bit more and stuff, but yep. Okay. Well, yeah, I stuck around for a little bit because now there's actually people watching, and that's kind of fun. But yeah, so let me know how this looks, how it sounds, how everything's going. And I can make tweaks again before I do another live stream. I think at this point I'll probably just wait until my regularly scheduled Thursday time that I've my plan was that I want to stream on Thursdays, Thursday evenings, maybe around 7 Central, 7:30. I don't know. I haven't figured that out quite yet. I don't have a routine yet. But I think more or less everything's working now, so I don't need to do these like test streams anymore. And also, I am off work this week, but I partially took off work because I wanted to get stuff done around the house and not just sit here and futz around with streaming stuff, even though it's fun. Yeah. Question was, does 1080 really stretch the signal too thin? Probably not. It's just a more about the wanting to. But I'm a resolution. Yes, you are a resolution snob. I just don't want to spend the data. Oh, hey, you're not supposed to be under there. Don't do it. Well. Okay, so I'm gonna call it here. So it's been real. I'm gonna figure out if this actually works the way I was going to end it. So I have a button on my Stream Deck that says Stream End Graphics. It's not unlimited. My data is not unlimited, unfortunately. So, all right. I want to push this button, and we're all going to find out if the macro that I wrote actually works, because I did not test it before this. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to disappear. Yes, great. Oh, great to meet. I think it's supposed to be meet you, but yes. It's nice to meet you guys too. Thanks for joining. So, all right, I'll see you guys later.